to the optimism going into this offseason, into next season?
Yeah, I think the way we fought together as a team this season, kind of the pieces that we've been able to put in place just on offense and defense, coaching staff-wise, the full organization, I feel like we have this belief that we're collectively getting better every single week, and kind of this offseason is a continual process of that. So I think there's a lot of excitement, and for me, I'm going to do everything I can and do my job to continue to get better. And
What are the things you feel like you need to sharpen up? I know it's early in the offseason already, but what are some of the areas you feel like you need to sharpen up?
I think it's just continual reps of the offense, mastering it, making sure my footwork's dialed. I think I'm just really excited to be able to do that, to kind of develop that chemistry with a lot of the guys. I think you can't ever. It's a constant process. For me, looking back at these games, figuring out how I can be more consistent that way and be able to show up.
What were some of the things you learned about your teammates along the way this season?
I mean, for me, it's been so much fun because of how close we are. And I think that's the biggest learning lesson is I feel like the success that we've had is a tribute to the culture, that Kellen has developed here, the culture that our leaders on the team have developed, and that is just having fun together and working hard and going back to our process. So for me, it's just been a great thing to kind of reiterate going into next year and help and having that high standard set.
What do you think your improved footwork will allow you to do, if you accomplish your goal of improving that? Where will you get better because of that?
Yeah, I think it's just more consistency as far as you don't know what play is going to matter throughout the game, and I think that's a thing that every quarterback in the NFL can continue to get better at and make consistent, because each play is unique. So how do you make it more consistent? And I think that's, for me, is the constant pursuit of perfection that I love about this position. And I think overall, it's just there's so many little things that we can all get better at, including myself, and that's the exciting part of it, because I feel like we've shown a lot of promise, and for me, just mastering the offense, developing chemistry with our receivers, and figuring out how we can stack those wins.
Tyler, in terms of showing promise, how would you evaluate your play, maybe your communication, leadership skills as well throughout half the season?
I think for me, and something that really kind of hang my hat on is just the continual progression on the field, from starting out the season, maybe just a lot of learning moments throughout camp. The preseason kind of gotten better each week, and then going through scout team gotten better. I feel like I really attacked that process, and that's a credit to the coaches and the people around me as well. And then off the field, being able to have that different role as a backup, continue to learn, and then when I got my opportunity and seize it, and then develop as a leader and be more vocal and continue that way and kind of drive, just the energy of our team and our offense. When a lot of the guys that we were missing, it was really fun for me to be able to kind of grow that way, and that's my continued goal, is to kind of take control and take command.
Yes, I know it's not a one-man game, obviously, but do you have a sense of the expectations you have generated through your play?
Yeah, I want to be perfect. I want to be the guy here for a long time, and I know that goes back to my process and communication and leadership, and ultimately what you put on tape. And for me, I feel, in order to do that, I have to be great with all those things with my preparation. So I think being able to watch guys that play at a really elite level, like Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen, and what does that look like for them, and being able to learn from them, and I think that's the encouraging thing is to kind of find bits and pieces of that and be able to implement it into my own game and figure out how I can continue to get better.
I'm sure you were standing there yesterday when DeMario was talking, when he said this is the most excited he's been about a quarterback since Drew Brees left, because they have a solidified #1 quarterback. And what does that mean whenever you have leaders like that, people locker room around the country just having your back and not going to play you?
It means the most coming from Double D, because he's been in the league for so long, and he's the pinnacle of greatness at his position in the NFL, on and off the field. So, I remember when I first got here and being even scared to even talk to him, and to now dabbing each other up, laughing, crying after the game, just being able to kind of develop that relationship. It means the most coming from him, and it motivates me, just because I feel like I haven't done anything yet. I feel like we're barely scratching the surface, and there's so much room to go. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously I'm only 26, and I feel like the best play at least my position comes into your late 30s. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's so much room to grow. So that's my job and my focus.
When your team usually finishes 6 and 11, people could be down, but I feel like the optimism is certainly there. The fans seem to be rallying around, not just you, the entire team, just because of the strong finish. How cool is that to see that the city is like, hey, we can't wait for this team to come back on the field next year after with how they finished strong?
I think that's our goal, and I think that's why we do what we do is one, because we love our job, we love it, but we want everybody to kind of rally behind the team, and we want fans to show up in the dome and support us, and I think being able to kind of display the character of this team was really encouraging, and kind of the process and vision for where we're going. And obviously the outcome is not what we want to expect, but I think there's things that we can learn from and flashes of that greatness that we can kind of build upon, and Double D said it in the locker room, and it's a version of success of sustaining this year and the way that we have bonded together and continue to fight, and that we can kind of hang our hat on going forward.
Will you stay here?
Before, but do you feel as though you've done enough for those Rookie of the Year honors?
Yeah, I think so. For me, I feel like with the opportunities given and what I've been able to put on tape, and just those chances that we've been able to, and the strides that we've been able to make, I feel like that's, it speaks for itself in that ride. And I wouldn't have any of that success without the guys around me and my teammates and the coaches. So I think all the awards and stuff are cool, but for me, I think what we were just talking about, the excitement around the building of what we're kind of progressing towards, the continued strain for success because we have that bad taste in our mouth. That's what keeps me motivated, and I know I got to continue to grow.
Will you stay here primarily, or are you going to Arizona, elsewhere? Or?
No, I'll be here. I'm kind of a makeshift New Orleanian right now. As we got our baby due in a couple months or a month now, so we'll be here, and then I'm excited to kind of be here for Mardi Gras and all that stuff.
Before you took over the starting job, in what ways, obviously there was a lot of optimism with that and the success you had, but what ways did you notice Kellen kind of keep spirits high even when you guys were losing, and what kind of impact did he have in his first year overall coaching?
I think it was just because he was the same dude every single day, and the consistency of his mannerisms, his behavior of it's a long season, it's a tribute to going back to his process, our process, and I feel like he got better throughout the year as well, from just understanding the flow of the game as far as calling things with a lot of new pieces. That's a tough position to be in, and he's just a great person and great coach. So I think it's just a credit to him, and understanding that there's going to be strings of ebbs and flows of the season, and how can we take advantage of that and bounce back and still operate the same. And when we have that success, how do you maintain it? And I think that's obviously what you want to see in your head coach, and I think that's why all the guys respect him.
Tyler, I'm sorry if you could ask this already, but we talked a lot about the quarterback room during the quarterback competition. What was that room like as a support system for you throughout the season?
They were great. I think that's kind of been really one of the most encouraging things, just for those guys and individually, is there was a lot of reason for there to maybe be a disconnect or maybe some strife in the room, for each one of us, and everybody was so professional. We were actually really good friends. We were hanging out with each other. For me, being able to joke around in the quarterback room, keep things light, have fun, that's how I operate the best, when I'm just out there having fun, going out there and playing. And whenever you kind of make things maybe bigger than what's supposed to be, that's when you can kind of get in trouble. And I think Spencer and Jake and Hunter and Taysom, those were some of the greatest influences on me to be able to kind of learn through all those moments.
And how did it kind of go for you, just whether within the room or beyond, and certainly with the influence of everybody in that room, becoming a leader and kind of stepping into that role mid-season? How was that transition for you within Atlanta?
It was great. For me, it was, everybody, and especially in this business, you understand the role and what your role is, and you have to master that. And for me, becoming a starter, and especially on the offense, you as a quarterback, you drive the energy throughout practice. You drive the narrative, and you hold the ball the most in the game. And for me, I was really intentional, obviously, about those relationships that you make pre and continually, because there's new faces that come up throughout the season. And how do you operate in those meetings, and how do you vocalize what our plan is? And I feel like I got better at that each week, and that was something I kind of learned along the way.
Is there anything else that, like, I know you mentioned Mardi Gras, I know you had a short time being here, is there anything else that you kind of want to venture out, try something while you're in New Orleans over the next few months?
I'm excited for crawfish season, for sure. And then I probably got to go on like a swamp tour or something. I've never been able to do that, but I'm just excited to kind of be able to take a deep breath. And it's been a long rookie year for sure, a long journey being in different states and, coming here and kind of hitting the ground running and learning new offense and new faces. And I'm just excited to, one, kind of master the offense, but then also take some time, be able to experience Mardi Gras, kind of be out in the community with everybody. So it'll be a good offseason of just overall.
Would you ride on a floated back?
I think so. I think we got that in the works. Been talking to Desi Vega about it a little bit, and I don't know. I think we're gonna make it happen. But I gotta, like I said, my son's gonna be born around that time, so it might have to be some makeshift. I might be on St. Charles, just on the float and sprinting to the hospital right afterwards.
Just to cover our bases, do you feel like you proved enough to be the franchise quarterback here?
I think for me, I've said it before, and what I put on tape and matters the most to me, and how the guys in the locker rooms speak about me, and that's all I'm gonna hang my hat on. I won't speak about anything that's not my decision to make, and I trust my coaches, my teammates, the front office, and I want to continue to get better and be the guy for this team, and that's my goal. And how I operate this offseason will reflect that.
During one of your first social media posts after the draft day, you had a really intense statement about which
I'll die on the team. Yeah.
How do you feel you best exemplified that attitude this week?
I think no matter at any point in the game, I'm going to fight for whatever this record is, whatever the down and distance. To see, I don't care whoever we got in the field. Like, I'm going to go out there and fight to go win, and it really pisses me off that we ended it that way. But I think it's a good thing, and I stand by it for sure. I love this game. I love the city. I love my teammates. So I'm going to continue to fight and exemplify that.